Hey, welcome again to Moonshot 17. I apologise for the quality on the last video that I posted up. It was really dark, and so again my apologies for that. And I've received a couple of other comments regarding the vision map, so that's an episode that I'll introduce shortly. Last week we spoke or discussed this aspect of the important steps that are in your life, and the most important one being the one that you need to take right now. Whatever's in front of you right now that needs to be addressed. And this week I wanted to go over the aspect of surrendering to win and how that works. There is a quote that I want to share with you that I read in a recent Daily Om article titled "The Fear of the Future," and it was written by Madisyn Taylor. So let me just share this with you. Since success can impact us in volatile and unpredictable terms, disrupting our norm and thrusting us into new scenarios that test our limits, the idea of achieving the life of our dreams can indeed shake us to the core. And fear of the future is often closely intermingled with the fear that growing into our own potential will both change you irrevocably and force you to face situations for which you aren't ready yet. So it's significant to remember that any changes the future brings tend to usually and gradually be introduced to your life, not thrust upon you. And when we visualize the future, we usually focus on the outcomes rather than the steps that we'll take to reach those conclusions. And thus we forget that growth is indeed a progressive experience. Your soul longs to fulfill its purpose. And because of this, neither you nor the universe will set any circumstance before you that you're not capable of handling. However, fear of the future can paralyze you and stop you from living your life in the present and from working towards the goals that you have in a mindful manner. And the key to conquering this lies then in absolute awareness of where you identify the irrational thoughts that actually scare you and replace them with logical, self-affirming ideas that inspire you. Accept that your fear is based on a false assumption and quell it with facts. Disregard past patterns and focus on the present by stilling that inner voice that inside wants to criticize the things that you do and are. Affirm to yourself that your success is based not on luck or a universal mistake, but on your established talents and drive and imagination and adaptability and inner strength. Each time you overcome a fear of the future, you chip away at its very foundations, and eventually you'll clear a gap through which you can gaze, and I love this section here, through which you can gaze the future with unhindered optimism. Now, I've paraphrased some of that from Madisyn, but I felt that's a good platform for us to set before understanding that there are things that are going to come into our life that are unexpected. And we need to look at what are the things that we need to hold on to, what are the things that we need to let go. And in one of my coaching sessions this past week, I shared the following principle that is a key element in my unlimited potential framework. When you struggle with the changes that are continuing around you, you might find that it's not so much the environment, not so much others, as much as you as an acceptance of yourself and a reluctance to let go of some things from the past. You see, releasing the past and surrendering yourself to whatever transpires in life and whatever the universe is going to offer you and being open to that actually takes some real learning. So many people are in this response and react mode instead of in flow. And if they're not in flow, then they can't be adaptable to the change as much as they need to, or to learn what they need to learn from the experiences that they're going through. And that's because they're too focused on the reaction or response to what's happening to them instead of and rather than what's happening within them. So their responses are, why is this happening to me? Instead of, what am I to learn from this? Or, this couldn't have come at a worse time. I wasn't expecting this, yet it's here. Instead of, what is the universe trying to teach me? Or, this is going to crush me, instead of, how can I grow from this? They think, why couldn't this happen to someone else? Instead of, Well, it's here. What's the real experience that I should be learning or having? And instead of framing, well, what good is this going to do for me? They could instead look at, well, once I learn from this experience, how will I be able to, and how am I able to, share with those around me or that I'm responsible with, in my family, in my cohort, in my organization, in my business, in my community, all of those that I'm involved with. So there's tremendous mindset going on in the universe at the moment, and this is why I'm engaged so readily in this space. And the more that social economics moves into automation, the more difficult it will be for us to relate to one another. And the word surrender, as you think about it, has immediate recognition to yield or concede or give up, and usually that's to an enemy or a power or a superior authority. Yet in whole of life terms, I urge you to define it also as to relinquish the claim or hold or influence over you by any event or thing or being that has no relevance to your future or goal or dream. You see, if you continue to carry the load of past anguish and pain or conflict, you'll rob yourself of the energy that should be invested in projecting yourself forward toward your vision. Using another analogy, as I have in the past with training, if your cup is already full of things that possibly have little or no productive value to your future, though they were important to your past, then you need to empty that so you can fill it with new things that will really matter to attaining your new objectives. Your yielding then isn't so much to a power or authority of the universe that you seek to become one with, and therefore your surrendering isn't a sign of weakness or failure. In fact, quite the opposite. Surrendering is a practice that is applied consistently by every successful person who's ever lived or who will yet live. Such strategic surrendering to yourself and to your dream includes giving up something that holds you back for something that will propel you forward. Letting go of a belief that seeks to bind you so that you can embrace a higher principle. Severing ties with a draining or toxic relationship so you can invest your time with people who encourage, inspire, and elevate you. Be that familial, communal, or even in business with customers that you have that drain you. Also, to sacrifice short-term gains for long-term and more durable outcomes, and to relinquish the language and actions of the crowd so that you can emulate the behavior of those that you most want to be like. Now this week I have 2 associative tasks for you. These activities are: 1, make a list of the things that are possibly holding you back, of the opinions that are keeping you from discovering your potential, of the small and often poisonous activities that keep you from achieving more. And second is to make a list of the actions then that you will, not that you can because everybody can, but that you will take to move forward towards your goal or dream or vision, so that you can surrender these ineffective and limiting ideas and use them instead, as I've referred to before, as stepping stones to fulfilling your future. Have a fantastic week. Live, love, and serve.